Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really zeroing in on something quite remarkable that happened at the International Math Olympiad. Now, the IMO, it's always been seen as, the absolute pinnacle for brilliant young human minds. But this year, something genuinely unprecedented occurred, a real turning point, you could say, where artificial intelligence meets peak human intellect. So our mission in this deep dive is to explore not just, well, an incredible technology story here, but also the rather unexpected corporate drama that sort of erupted around it. Of course, the deeper questions this all raises about intelligence, about education, and frankly, what it even means to be human now in a world increasingly powered by AI. Okay, let's unpack this. So for the longest time, AI models trying to tackle IMO problems, they just didn't perform well at all, right? They really struggled. What was the big change? What was the fundamental shift that allowed them to break through this year?
It was a genuinely incredible leap, yeah. This year, we saw not one, but two different advanced AI models securing gold medals at the IMO. We're talking about OpenAI's reasoning model, and many think this is probably a GPT-5 prototype, and Google DeepMind's Gemini model, both of them, both managed to solve 5 out of the 6 problems. And these IMO problems are notoriously difficult, designed to stump the brightest kids globally.
5 out of 6. Wow.
Exactly. And what's really striking is how they pulled it off. These weren't, super specialized AI systems built just for competition math. Nope. These were general-purpose large language models. They used their understanding of natural language, didn't rely on external tools or running code. Instead, they applied, first principles reasoning. They tested hypotheses, used strategic trial and error. And crucially, they did all of this within the exact same 4.5-hour time limit as the human competitors.
That's just a staggering jump. I mean, if you think back, things like GPT-4 were getting, what, maybe 12% accuracy on the American math test?
Something like that, yes. The progress has been slow until now.
So going from that level to cracking 5 out of 6 IMO-level problems designed specifically to challenge human ingenuity at its peak. It really feels like a paradigm shift. But okay, here's where it gets really interesting. As amazing as the science was, the story immediately took a turn, didn't it? It became much less about the algorithms and more about, well, human drama, a corporate spat.
Yeah.
So you have this landmark scientific moment, right? But the way it was announced just descends into, well, corporate mudslinging, a bit of a spectacle. What exactly kicked off that friction between OpenAI and Google?
Well, objectively speaking, what happened was OpenAI's representatives, specifically Alexander Wei and Sam Altman, went public. They announced their model's gold medal win before the IMO had officially released any results.
Okay.
And apparently this was directly against a request from the IMO itself. They'd asked the AI developers to wait a week after the closing ceremony. The idea was, let the human students have their moment, don't overshadow their achievements.
Right, that makes sense. So how did Google handle it?
Google took a very different path. They waited. They announced their Gemini results 2 days later, after the IMO's requested waiting period, and importantly, after getting the official grading and permissions. They respected the process.
And that difference in timing led to...
It immediately sparked accusations. OpenAI accused Google of cheating.
Cheating? How?
The allegation was that Google must have fed Gemini extra information like contextual data or preparatory hints to help it solve the problems. Google pushed back hard on that. They stated pretty clearly that even their DeepThink model, which got zero context, no special corpus access, also achieved gold.
So they had another model confirm the capability without any alleged help.
Exactly. But, the debate continues. Did one team maybe have subtle advantages? Did OpenAI feel pressured to announce first? It's still being discussed.
That move by OpenAI announcing early like that, it does feel quite aggressive almost, especially given the intense rivalry in the AI world right now. Could that eagerness to claim the win, maybe even breaking protocol, suggest something deeper going on at OpenAI? Maybe pressure is beyond just wanting scientific recognition?
That's definitely a narrative that's out there, yeah. Some analysts are sort of connecting the dots. They're pointing to maybe whispers about GPT-5 delays or, the public attention competitors like Elon Musk's Grok have been getting, maybe even some talent moving to places like Meta.
So context matters.
It might. In such a fast-moving field, landing a really high-profile, clear win like an IMO gold medal, well, that could be seen as vital for perception. For investors, for talent, for momentum.
So maybe it was just strategically more urgent for OpenAI to shout this from the rooftops compared to Google, who might have felt, less immediate pressure perhaps?
Possibly. Google might have felt they could play the long game, avoid the drama, and still get the credit eventually. It's speculative, but it fits the known dynamics.
Okay, and moving beyond the corporate clash for a second. There was another curious detail that came out about the AI's performance itself. Not about whether they got the answers right, but about how they presented them. The write-ups. What was the issue there?
Right, this was interesting. Despite achieving the correct solutions, which is obviously the main goal, the write-ups from OpenAI's model were described as, well, messy. Apparently, they were full of shorthand, abbreviations, and even used terms like forbidden partners without actually defining what that meant within the context of the proof.
Huh. Forbidden partners. Sounds intriguing, but not very helpful if you don't know the code.
Exactly. So the key takeaway here seems to be the underlying reasoning engine did its job. It found the path to the solution. But the ability to communicate that reasoning clearly, step by step, in a way humans can easily follow, that was lacking.
So AI is brilliant, but needs to work on its communication skills.
Essentially, yes. It highlights a known, ongoing challenge for AI generating truly clear, understandable explanations for its complex internal processes. It's one thing to know, another to explain.
That almost sounds like a very human problem, doesn't it? The brilliant mind that struggles to articulate its thoughts clearly. Okay, so stepping back from the tech and the corporate stuff, this whole event really pushes us into some deep philosophical territory, doesn't it? So what does this all mean? Is this it? Is this the moment we say human superiority in complex mathematical reasoning is, well, over? Or maybe intellectual superiority more broadly?
It certainly triggered that kind of reaction in many people. Some have called it an identity crisis moment. There was this tweet from an investment researcher, Dave White, that got a lot of attention. He basically said he was struggling, grappling with the fact that machines can now do what these IMO gold medalists do. Because for him, and for many, these kids represented the absolute peak intellectual demigods, he called them. And now AI can reach that peak too.
Intellectual demigods.
Mm.
That's strong language. It really captures the reverence people have for that level of mathematical talent.
It does. And it forces us to ask, okay, what is intelligence then? If AI can master these incredibly complex, multi-step reasoning tasks that we thought were uniquely human, then maybe our definition needs to evolve. It's shifting. Perhaps intelligence now needs to more heavily emphasize things like creativity, emotional depth, ethical judgment, consciousness areas AI hasn't conquered.
So the goalposts are moving.
Exactly. What's fascinating here is as AI gets better at things we used to define as uniquely human intelligence, our definition of intelligence itself broadens to encompass what's left. It's a dynamic process.
That's a really profound point. And if those goalposts are moving, what does this AI breakthrough mean for, say, education? What are the big implications for students, teachers, the whole learning system?
Oh, the implications are massive and pretty immediate, too. Think about the practical challenges first. If students can potentially use models this powerful to, say, do their Olympiad-level math homework.
Right. How does a teacher even know?
Yeah, exactly. How do you differentiate between genuine human understanding, developed through struggle and practice, and a perfectly crafted AI answer? It becomes incredibly difficult to assess real learning.
So plagiarism on an entirely new level.
A much harder level to detect, potentially. But beyond that, it forces a more fundamental debate. It's kind of like the discussion people had when calculators first became widespread in schools.
I remember that. Should kids still learn long division?
Precisely. So this raises an important question. Should we focus education on teaching students how to solve these complex problems from scratch? Or should the emphasis shift towards teaching them how to effectively use these incredibly powerful tools that can solve the problems for them? What's the core skill we need to foster now?
Problem solving versus tool mastery. That's a huge question for educators everywhere.
It really is. It challenges the core purpose of how we've traditionally structured education, especially in technical fields. So, okay, if we try to boil down the key takeaways from this whole situation, this deep dive, first, you've got the undeniable technological leap. These AI models aren't just pattern matching or spitting out memorized facts. They're doing complex, multi-step logical reasoning on problems they've never seen before. That's huge.
A genuine reasoning milestone.
Definitely. And second, there's the sociocultural layer. OpenAI's, let's say, eagerness for that public win. It probably reflects the intense pressure cooker environment of the current AI race. Dealing with rumor delays, strong competitors, talent wars. Securing a big public win like the IMO becomes strategically important. Google, maybe feeling less heat at that specific moment, could afford to be more patient, play the longer game, avoid the drama.
Right, different pressures, different strategies playing out on a public stage. Absolutely. So as we've seen, this deep dive isn't just about a math competition. It's really opened up this fascinating intersection of AI capability, human pride, corporate maneuvering, ethical considerations, the future of education, and maybe even the definition of intelligence itself. So after hearing all this, what really stands out to you? What part of this story resonates the most? And maybe here's a final thought to leave you with. If AI can now achieve these feats, things we once thought were only possible for the most elite human minds, will the most valuable skill in the future be less about knowing how to solve every single problem yourself and more about knowing what questions are worth asking in the first place? And crucially, knowing how to effectively leverage these powerful new tools to find the answers.